Hello everyone, welcome to our channel. We have Patruni with us, and Patruni is one of very popular drag artists. For those who don't know what drag is, it is a form of art, it is a form of entertainment. In India, it has been prevalent from a really long time, but the drag name and the pop culture comes from the West that we know today, which is more popular. But here, Patruni does and also promotes the Indian drag culture. And there are many forms of that we'll talk about in just a minute now. But before that, over to you, Patruni. Explain to our audience who are you, what you do, and what drag is all about.
Definitely. Hi, everyone. This is Patruni Shastri, aka Suffocated Art Specimen, because look how suffocated I am. I am a drag artist. I'm a tranimal drag artist. My style is something which is quite murky, quite anti-beauty or anti-art in its own way. I kind of create looks which are not specifically human or something which is a twist with humanity. And I've been performing drag for 2 years now. And before that, I was a classical dancer and started my research on drag, Indian aesthetics of drag. And I started a page called as Dragwanti, where majorly giving up information about drag in its own entirety. So that is my day-to-day work.
So, can you tell us more about the forms of drag? Because usually it is assumed that it's a art form where men dress up as women, and that's the sort of entertainment that is. However, it is so much more than that. And in terms of showing femininity, also, like you mentioned, the form that you do predominantly is not about only the beauty side of the femininity or just the not the contemporary assumed side of femininity. So could you just tell us a little bit about different forms of drag and the ones that you do or your peers do, something like that?
Yeah. So drag again, the definition of drag is quite diverse in its own way. So let's start over there and how exactly it defined is like, drag is nothing but dress resembling a gender. Sometimes it can also be defined as dress resembling a gender, genderless, or dress resembling a guy, or dress resembling a girl. So the definition itself is quite diverse in its own way, and I think uh, so the form kinds of translates as well. Like drag has multiple styles. We have fish drag, which is majorly like men dressing up as a perfect woman, and we have something called as femme drag, which again kind of exaggerating the idea of femininity. We have club kids, which is majorly the alter ways of drag, and we have tranimal drag, which I do, which is a postmodern approach to drag, like telling that you don't need to look in a certain way or in a certain kind, but you can look in something which is quite odd as well as different in its own way. So I think that is my style of drag, and we have goth drag as well, which is majorly the idea of seeing the idea of goth in its own way, like seeing something which is in black and white, having the spooky way of presenting things. So I think these are some of the basic differences or styles of drag which are there all over the world. Especially when we come to India, we see an alternative art for each and every style of drag. Like if we talk about fish drag, we see a fish drag which has been there in Kuchipudi, where men will dress up as women and perform the Rupanurupam, or which says the impersonation. When we talk about what I said, the androgynous drag, or something which is non-fish or club kid, you can find these kinds of art forms like Tayyam. Tayyam, though it is a art form where men is dressing up as women, but the woman is not as a natural woman. You have those patterns in which you create. So that is a representation of the club kid. And when it comes to tranimal, there is another form of drag called as chaya kutta, which is like you create the entire look with leaves, petals, and things which you find in your own place. So chaya kuttu is again a counterpart of tranimal, which is there on the other side. And you'll find each and every drag form which is there in the West kind of resemble but each and every drag form in India. So that is the beauty of how the Indian drag is situated in the very first place.
Okay. And would you say that because you were into classical dancing and you trained as a Kuchipudi artist, did that drive you to try the drag form of entertainment or art, or is it something that you have always explored?
So I wanted to ensure that when I was dancing Kuchipudi at the very first time, or kind of learning dance was coming from a really specific angle or a specific way, how exactly they're telling. The stories were quite heteronormative in its own way. And, as a queer person, I was not able to fit in to the way of storylines which were being presented. At times I was introspecting the idea of what my gender is, and at times when I perform as the same kind of a gender in a performance, it was not radiating what I wanted to see. And that's when I kind of stepped in or tried to look into the alternative art forms. Like Buto was one of the other art form which I learned post Kuchipudi, which talks about the entire, the anti-art or anti-movement of dance. Like Kuchipudi says, Kuchipudi or Bharatanatyam, they say that, you have to have a structure. Your body should be in a certain way. Your line should be in a certain way. Buto kinds of breaks each and everything what Bharatanatyam says. It tells that you don't need to have a structure. Your body bends in all the forms, and you talk about diseases and deaths, and and anything which is kind of unhealthy in its own way. So that was a counterpart which I kind of fought, as I went ahead and learned, and that kind of insisted in seeing, these two parallel things. Both had drag in its own entirety. Kuchipudi has drag, and Buto also had drag. And when I was kind of exploring with these forms, I could relate to the idea of performing a gender. And I never wanted to perform as a boy. I wanted to perform as somebody who is neither a boy nor a girl, or non-binary expression. So that's how I kind of figured out a little bit of understanding, and I went ahead with whatever I could get.
Perfect. And also, I will just talk about Dragvanti in just a moment. But before that, I would just, because you have promoted the Indian drag culture so much in whatever you do, could you tell us and our audience that what is the main difference between how the Western countries have adopted drag and how India has adopted drag, both earlier and in the modern culture of drag?
So I would go ahead and put it, this is again my point of view, and I come for this point of view from a lot of research which I was trying to do as part of my study with drag. One of the point of view is like, I think, this was something which I believe drag was something originated in India and then was being taken to the West. The first written documentation of drag was Natya Shastra, which is around 800 BC, post 1,000 years, when we could go ahead and see Shakespearean theatre coming up. So there's a gap between Natya Shastra's first sighting and what exactly is there in Shakespearean theatre. So this might be a situation that drag was already being found in India for a very long time, with performances in its own spaces. Like temple had their own rituals. There were courts which were having their own rituals. The local people had their own rituals, or rituals as folk, which had the idea of impersonation when it comes to picture. Now, because we had been, colonized by multiple organizations or multiple, countries or multiple governance, I think the idea was kind of translated. So when we first got colonized, there was some part of drag which was taken to, some part of the world. And when the Britishers came in, they really loved the idea of how they can create, beauty characters within the respective, theater. So that is how I think the entire conversation started, and how exactly it went on to a certain level of presenting it into the world map. So I think it's quite Indian concept, but it was being taken by the West because of colonization.
Mhm. And in terms of inclusivity, would you say that it is only how much are the non-queer community in touch with drag, or do you see non-queer people also trying the drag form of entertainment? Because it is a assumption on part of a lot of people that it is something that is predominantly done only by the queer community. So how has your experience been with that?
So initially, when we see like the very first start of drag, before the four-letter word entered into India, the Indian drag was surviving and mostly performed by the straight men, and still they are being performed by straight men. Like Launda Nach is a tradition which is in Bihar, which is majorly performed by straight men, and that is something which they do for earning their bread and butter for the children and wife who's sitting on the other side. Same with the other forms of art as well, traditional art which had the impersonation technique. So, but when it comes to the other, our notion of drag, like the Gen Next of drag, who are coming ahead and performing. That's, the idea why it's relatable to queer issues is because of the Stonewall writers, or because of the writers which started, where they were active involvement of drag performers and, transgender persons who were actually led the entire movement of queer liberty. And I think that is why I believe the association with drag with the queer community has been, placed. And I think now it became a kind of a voice for a lot of queer individuals to kind of go ahead and identify and present their form, or explore their form, or explore their gender performance. I think that is why we kind of associate. But can we say that it's only performed by queer community people? I think it's not. It's performed by everybody, and anybody can perform that.
That is so great to know. It's definitely a very interesting and very entertaining art form. So I'll just quickly move to what Dragvanti is, how you created it, and what you majorly do with Dragvanti and your initiative.
Yeah. So for me, like when I started drag in 2019, I was not able to get a holistic approach of drag because there were only limited, performers who were there in India, and even in the limited performers whom we had, majority of them were situated in the metro cities, and we were scattered and plotted in multiple spaces. And it was really important to see that demography and how exactly it works out, because at any point in time, if you need an art if you need to place an art form equivalent to the other arts which are existing, we need to find the numbers of people who are performing it, and just to ensure that there are a lot of drag artists who are there in India get the same kind of status. Like I could go ahead and see there are clubs which are having drag events at one place, whereas the other drag artists, in Bihar and Rajasthan and other spaces, where they are performing in some really local, unsafe space, and earning literally pennies, or nothing more than 200 or 300 per night. So the parity of what a person performs is not something which is being balanced. The reason is one would consider one particular art form as elite, and the other would consider the other art form as non-elite. So it was really important for me to bring both of them at one particular platform. Firstly, secondly, give an idea about how Indian drag looks like, or what is Indian drag in the very first place, what is the Indian aesthetic of drag, and turn out the notion about how drag has been involved in all over India, and also bring the number of drag artists in India and onto one particular space, and then go ahead and give a number to people, telling that, okay, these are the numbers who are there, and you can definitely go ahead and see that we are existing, we are in large numbers. So that is how it all started. And I think my major vision was to bring people together, all the drag artists. So I kind of reached out to everybody and said, okay, I wanted to start this, and could you help me in connecting with people? And the drag community is really somebody who helped enable Dragvanti in the very first place. So I think I owe a huge thank you, as well as gratefulness to every drag artist who are there in India, and utilizing the space, and helping me with information which I was needed time and again, and ensuring that the space is their space, and present information time and again. So yeah, that is something which I would like to share.
And were there any challenges? I'm sure there were many, but were there any specific challenges that you say which made it very difficult, or I mean, it made it difficult to bring Dragvanti or the drag form in platform?
So I think one of the major challenge, and I won't say it's a challenge, but before Dragvanti, I was not able to interact with many drag artists. And for me, I already had this constant effort of representing all kinds of drag art forms, like irrespective of not only cisgender, homosexual people, but also somebody who are, non-binary, who are trans people who perform drag. And while I was going ahead and trying to look out for information, I was not able to find it. So that was one of the biggest challenges. Like the idea of bringing or people together, I needed a lot of I think social media helped me in one case. Like, I could find out people who are actually performing drag and reach out to them without any hesitation. So initially, they were a little bit of challenge in going ahead and, breaking some of the bridges and, kind of reaching out to people, because at that time, people were not understanding what exactly I'm trying to do. However, it's just like, the conversation. So when I wanted people, when I wanted to connect with people, there was already somebody who was making that establishment for me, and who was trying to help me. So I think that is how the dots were connected. Now, Dragvanti had around 37 to 38 artists listed in the drag directory. All the drag artists are performing. We have inclusion from people who are performing from the trans community. We have people who are AFAB. We are having people who are from the cisgender hetero people, cisgender people from the gay community, and cisgender gender non-binary people, and all set of spectrums are something which we are trying to go ahead and ensure that every intersectionality is counted when it comes to listing of artists. And I think that is something which I'm still striving to do. Like, still want more people to come ahead and perform or present the idea of drag, and it can be done by anybody, and everybody's art need to be valued as equal. So I think that was some of the challenges, but I'm still working on that.
That's very nice to hear. One more thing that I want to talk to you about is the drag conference that is coming up that you have been promoting in the website as well. And I am very interested to know what that is, what kind of events take place, and who will participate, and some more details about it.
Yeah. So drag conference is majorly nothing but a way where we don't perform drag. We come ahead and talk about the idea of drag and multiple dimensions, multiple aesthetics of it. Like one topic we'll be talking about Bollywood's influence on drag. In the other topic, we'll be talking about drag is a gender performance or performance art. In one, we will be talking about how the ballroom scenes evolved. And in one, we'll talk about the folk art forms of drag, global presentation of Desi drag. So these are some of the terms which we are kind of going ahead. And there's a panel discussion about past, future, and present of drag, which is again by 4 diverse people, coming from diverse backgrounds. So I think I'm really, kind of motivated to see how exactly the conference starts up. The idea basically came from an existing Indian dance conference, which usually happens on December in Chennai, which is called as Natyakala Conference. And I see that how exactly that conference actually made, give me one quick second. Okay. So sorry, my phone was just asking me to, give me a thing that it will be shutting in 30 minutes. So I had to put a charge in the pocket. So yeah, my major idea of the conference was from the, dance conference, which happens in Chennai every year. And I know how exactly the thing works and how exactly the idea which kind of, shares with the world of dancers. I really love that fact. And I think that is one of the reasons why I wanted to have a conference where bringing people and having the conversations and see how exactly each and everybody puts in. My idea is, again, as and when we grow, as and when, the next year, it will be again some set of new faces, somebody who have been already established or been doing drag for 21 years or 30 years, somebody who has, brought the entire change to the industry, especially, and artists who are working on a fashion industry, or those are some of the topics which I want to thrive in as and when we go for the next year. Also, I wanted to ensure that Dragwanti for this year, we had not had that kind of an opportunity to pay each and every artist in kind, but we are definitely going ahead and ensuring that we have wonderful partners with us, like Be Unique or Quenchberry or Fleur Diamonds, who are actually going and helping us with some giveaways. But we want to ensure the platform is so established that every artist who is coming ahead and sharing the knowledge is also being given something as a as a remuneration. So I think that is something which I would be striving for the next year.
That is so nice to hear. And I have been seeing your post on the drag conference and definitely looking forward to see what it brings with it. So can I just ask you a few things about your experience, what you have faced, like any memorable moment you have had, or any special performance that is very close to your heart? Is there anything that you could share with us?
Yeah, I think one of the very specialist performance was when I was performing for kids. So kids have a really great tendency of getting scared to see something which they haven't seen on a regular basis, or getting amused to see something which is clownish in its own way. So I fall into both the categories. I look scary when I walk ahead and perform with kids, and as well as I bring the aesthetics of something which is quite clowny in its own nature. So when I went ahead and started performing with kids, I could see the reaction of how they are seeking the art form. they when you walk into a room filled of kids, everybody are like, sharing their hands, spreading, asking for a virtual hug, or having or asking questions like, why is this wig so red, something like that. And that is something which is really motivating. And I think that is something which was so lovely.
And in terms of your experience with the Pride Month, that this month has been with different events, could you share some of your experiences or any of the moments that you have really liked, especially because we are having everything virtually this year? So, any special experiences?
So I think one of the special experiences are definitely connecting with multiple drag artists. I still remember, because of Clubhouse or because of new platforms which we are getting so far, I was able to connect with a lot of people whom I haven't had chance in connecting with, and I think that is something which is really inspiring, because I have read about them, I know about them, how what exactly they are doing, their impact which is there in the society, but never had an opportunity to go ahead and have conversations. So that is something which is being breaking because of the entire you know digitalization, and also bringing people from multiple spaces. Like, technology has definitely helped in articulating or bringing two different people from two different sets and putting them into one place, and giving them a platform where they can have much more deeper discussions. I think that is something which is enabler, and I think I'm really happy for this thing happen. But I'm also looking forward to go to that public spaces, and scare more people, because that is what is fun in going ahead and doing it.
Definitely. I mean, we have been fortunate enough to be able to connect with you for this because of the online, because everything happened online. And just the last question I'll bother you with is there any advice that you would like to leave our audience with in terms of people who are trying to explore drag or people who are just trying to understand drag? Any advice to them?
I think everybody is born with one or the other oddity, and sometimes the oddity becomes commodity, and sometimes it doesn't become. It still sticks as oddity, but by the end of it, I think it's really important to accept one own self and identify that that persona which is there in everybody. I think drag is something which is more visual, but everybody has a drag queen inside. It's just that they need to slap on that and ask them to wake up. And once they wake up, you can have unlimited potential and unleash the idea of seeing the universe in a different way. So I think that is really important. Everybody need to trust themselves, be a little crazy, because life itself is crazy. So why aren't we going ahead and being a little? So I think that is important. And I just gave an advice, like, if you love to do something, just do it. Don't think about who, what, when, why. It's just that it's important you do it, and then the other things fall off in place. So yeah, those are the couple of advices which I could give. And start learning. I also start learning, though these advices are coming from just a 27 years of age person, but these are not the life lessons. You just need to start learning. So tomorrow you come back to me and ask for an advice, I will say something else. That is how the life is like. It keeps on changing.
Of course, but it's still very inspiring, and it is very inspiring to speak to you today. And I just request everyone to go follow Dragwanti, go follow the Silent Sexism Project, and we'll be back with another guest and another interview, and keep you tuned. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. And just to add on to that, thank you so much, the Silent Sexism Project. And I think this is the title itself is something which is really important. And I think the work which you are putting up is also something which is quite motivating. And I believe that everybody should come ahead and look out for stories which are being posted. And you are doing a really great work. And I will keep stalking you for the rest of my life with all the works which I do.
We'll do the same. Thank you again for joining us, and thank you everyone.
Thank you so much. Yeah.